Hello everyone. Thank you for joining XTRF webinars. My name is Martin and I'm happy to be the host of this session. Today we will take a closer look at data. I think that everyone will agree that in the modern world, all businesses are powered by data and everything revolves around proper data processing and management. Operational team members, for example PMs or salespeople, have to enter, edit, and manage enormous amounts of data day after day, while high-level management need constant access to different types of data, which help them evaluate performance of the entire company and of each team within its organizational structure. Relevant data help them make strategic decisions and define short and long-term goals for the organization to run. Therefore, both operational and strategic data must be always up-to-date, easily accessible, and presented in a clear and well-organized way. Ideally, each team member, depending on his or her role in the corporate structure, should be able to retrieve needed information fast and additionally customize the way in which it is presented in order to be able to work efficiently. In fact, the necessity to process and manage continuously growing pools of data was the main reason why ERP, or Integrated Management Systems, were introduced in the 1970s and have been undergoing constant evolution up till now. During this short session, I'll briefly demonstrate how the XTRF management system supports data management through the Smart View feature, allowing users to create multiple predefined and customized data sets and filters, user-specific dashboards, and Smart View and Report subscriptions for automated delivery of required data. First, let's define how data will be presented. Let me go to the project database. And please take a look at the information displayed on screen. First, on top, you will notice a set of filtering criteria allowing us to find required info record in the database of the system. For instance, here we may filter projects by status, by client name, maybe PM name, maybe task specialization, project category, deadline, and many more. Below you see the actual display of project information which has been prepared for the project management team. Both the sets of filters and the display of data, which is project related, may be customized to reflect the needs not only of teams within a company, but individual users who might have specific preferences which are related with data presentation. In order to modify existing view and add or delete components seen on screen, we should enter the addition mode and either add or delete an element. For instance, let us try to add an additional filter, allowing us to filter projects depending on the workflow applied. In order to do it, we simply click plus to add filter and either look for the required entity by displaying all the features. And here I must say that the architecture of XTRF allows active use of every little bit of information which is stored in the database for the purpose of filtering and data display, or you may simply type in the name of the entity you would like to find. The system responds instantly by narrowing down selection to the component that we need. And in this way, the workflow criteria for data filtering has been added. Furthermore, we can place it where we want to see it. by simply dragging and dropping it around the screen and leaving it where we want to see it. Customization and component placement is highly similar to the customization of screens of modern smartphones or tablets. And logically, we may add a component to the data display. In order to do it, we can simply click Add Column. Again, let's add Workflow, select it, and add it. By definition, it is first displayed at the end of the screen. However, and logically, we can place it where we want to see it. Once we are done, we simply save changes and our changes become effective. Now, having customized our actual data display, and this display is called a default one, we may check other displays available. One of the powers of XTRF is the fact that each user may store an indefinite number of parallel displays, each one being completely different in every component in every area of the system. To display the options we have here in the project browse area, let us simply click the name of the displayed view, and hence we can see that there's a numbers of views which were not created by me but have been shared with me. Therefore, they are view only. And below there are my views, 3 parallel views which are created. For example, I created a view called Projects for Today. By clicking it, I'll display the list of projects which are to be delivered today. Luckily for myself, this display is empty, which means I, as a project manager, don't need to deliver any projects to my clients today. However, we can change view now and, for example, check how many projects and which projects were added in the course of the past month. Now we see that 7 days. Within the past week, 3 projects, 2 for a very important customer and 1 for an customer, have been added to the system. Please note that the information displayed on screen is different, as well as the number and type of filters is different each time, which means that both have been customized. Having customized displays, and you can customize displays in every single system area in an analogical way, in the quote, client profile, vendor profile, invoicing sections, for example, let's define a workspace for a project manager or any other team member, the dashboard. The dashboard feature may be personalized by each team member depending on the role of that person in the company organization. Salespeople might place information which is relevant to sales activities. Project managers would like to see information which is related with the management of projects. A CFO or chief accountant would like to see financial data, while a CEO or other high-level manager like managing director might want to see some performance or KPI bits of information on their dashboard. How to do it? Quite easily. There are 2 edit dashboard buttons that work in exactly the same way. We may add elements and compose them in a number of ways. We may specify the layout of information displayed on screen. We may place those info records one on top of another, or we may place them side by side in columns, and we may decide how many components will there be available in each column. By clicking Add Widget here, we can place those components in desired spaces. Let us return to the initial 1 column display. And let us imagine that my role now is of a CFO. As a CFO, I may want to be able to log in to my bank account to check if there are any payments being received in my bank account. I need to just click widget, and I may go to website embedder. In website embedder, let's just call it my bank, and let's type in or paste in the bank URL. Let us assume that we are located in the UK and we are using the services of the Barclays Bank. Go UK, apply, and save changes. And here we have the bank website embedded on the dashboard with a login button right in front of our eyes. But let us assume that the CFO is also interested in client information, because this is required for performance, or maybe some invoice information. Therefore, he or she might edit the dashboard again and add another widget or component. This time may be selected from the Smart View area. Let's select the scope. Let's take client invoice, and let's select a predefined view overdue invoices. And let's apply changes. Having saved changes, we have information which might be very interesting to every financial team member. In the first place, he or she might see overdue or delayed invoices. Therefore, information on late payers will be displayed and updated automatically every time the person takes a look at the dashboard. While below that initial information, he or she might be able to log into the bank page just to check if any of the late payers has decided to transfer money to the corporate bank account. And logically speaking, in a very similar way, every other team member might compose the dashboard to show information relevant to that person, depending on their role in the organization. Therefore, ideally, each team member coming to the office around 9 o'clock a.m. when operations resume may simply make a cup of coffee and take a look at the dashboard to define the most important actions that he or she must take every day. This dashboard might respond to the needs of every employee of a company. However, as we all very well know, project managers are among the most important team members, because these people create projects, communicate with clients and vendors, deliver projects to end clients, and thus they generate revenue for the entire company. There is another aspect of the dashboard which is targeted directly and responds to the needs of project managers. This dashboard is called the Classic Dashboard, and you may simply switch to the view by pressing the button on the top bar. Here in this dashboard, we see only project-related information. The data display may be customized in exactly the same way as we customized Smart View. You simply select the view and go into the edition mode, add or delete columns, and place them exactly where a PM would like to see them. In the first place, the PM will see basic information. As you can see, the project manager's name is mine, so I see my projects only. And I see general information, project numbers, and which is most important, color status indicator. I see bad news for myself because all projects have the open status and all are marked in red. Red indicator is a negative one because it means that the project is delayed. And please kindly note that the deadline row next to the status row shows the date and time where projects were supposed to be delivered. And we are well behind the schedule. The most recent one should have been delivered on the 3rd of September at 3 o'clock p.m. So we have serious delays here. If the PM would like to see the details of each of the projects, he or she may simply expand individual projects to display further details. To display the workflow and the workflow steps, we call them jobs, and see the status of each job. So 3 are ready, but 1 is started. And because 1 has not been completed, the project may not be closed. We see contact persons, we see vendor contact persons, we see additional details. If the PM would like to see the details of all the projects on screen, he or she may click the button Expand All, and all projects are expanded and the information is presented in a different way now. This dashboard is not only view component which provides information and doesn't allow taking any actions. In fact, it does allow action where the action is required. Please kindly note that the first job in this project misses a deadline, which means that the PM defining the project has forgotten to define the deadline. Now, the PM does not have to go to the project area, try to filter the project and select deadline. He or she may actually select deadline directly from the classic dashboard by simply clicking the select deadline entry. A pop-up with calendar is displayed, and we may define the deadline of the project. Let's make it Monday, 1 o'clock p.m. Saving the settings allows us to enter the deadline. Okay. Now, different actions might be taken as well. For example, in the next project, in the proofreading job, we haven't assigned any proofreader. Hence, a button becomes activated that says Select Vendor. When the PM clicks the vendor selection button, the system will display the list of vendors who are capable of performing a required task, which means the vendors displayed now are all able to do proofreading within this language combination and this specialization, which means they respond to the requirements of the project perfectly. And the vendor, the PM might see which ones are available by checking availability indicators, may check their rates, their evaluation, and may decide which vendor will be the best choice for the project. Let us select Martian Translator, for example. By simply clicking the name of the vendor, we enter the person into a project. Let's now collapse all the details and return to the initial views. A production supervisor may have more control over the situation in the department he or she manages, because the supervisor might simply select different PM names and might quickly see what are statuses of projects of each PM working within the department. Let me simply select a different PM, Dominica, and now I see statuses of Dominica's projects. Or let me select Alexandra, and I have different projects now. If I want to take a closer look at just one project which has been assigned to Alexandra, I may narrow down my selection to get a clear view, for example, to medical translation. Okay? Within medical translation, we see that there's only one project displayed. Now we may expand the details of the project, and the view is easier to encompass. And let's follow statuses of each project here. Let us return to Dominica. And logically speaking, let's collapse all her jobs. Let's select one project that she's responsible for. Let's assume that the supervisor is interested not only in the overall status of the project and the statuses of jobs or tasks within the project, but he or she would like to get information on the file status. Just click the file button on top, and we see that the task 546, consistent translation from German into Czech in the general specialization. And here is the process. The demo text may be easily downloaded. When we place the cursor on the input button here, we may download input materials. We see that the project preparation, which is an automated action, has been successfully completed. Okay. Translation has been successfully completed, and review is in process now. Therefore, project may not be finalized yet because the review step of the workflow is still underway. If a PM or a supervisor or any other authorized team member is interested in checking different versions of the file as it follows along the processing path, he or she may simply download each version of the file easily by going to the corresponding respective step in the process and download individual file or all files that are being processed here. So if we would like to see translation, let us go to the translation button and download translated content. And logically speaking, when review will be ready, we'll be able to download a reviewed file, and finally the ready output file when it is available. Now, apart from operational team members like accountants or project managers, there are high-level managers. High-level managers, I don't know, CTOs, managing directors, CEOs of companies, presidents of companies, might not be interested in the details of each and every project, but they would like to have a broader view, an overview of the general situation within the company, which brings us to the reporting area. XTRF is featured in a separate reporting module and a very flexible report creation tool. We may specify different types of reports answering different questions. For example, see on-time delivery rate of projects, or monthly turnover or revenue per PM, or per language combination, maybe per client, per ROI. We may see monthly rate conversion per PM, or annual rate conversion, or profits brought to the company by each and every team member. There are many combinations because just like in case of smart views and information displays, we may use every bit of information which is saved in every corner of the system for the purpose of report creation, data filtering, and data presentation. How may reports be displayed? Reports are available in a number of ways. The most obvious type of display would be to display a table. By clicking the table button, we display tabularic information which is related with the selected report. This report presents the cost of each translation service this month. Therefore, we see language combination breakdown, we see the totals and summed amounts. If we would like to get some more visual feedback from the system, we may simply click the chart button here, and this information will we will demonstrate report graph, and by simply moving the mouse across all the graph elements, we see numbers and data hidden behind them, just to see what they signify and what they stand for. Therefore, we can easily gather that the most costly language combination this month is from British English to German. And the smallest costs are associated with Russian to German translation. If a report is needed for an internal meeting in the shape of a hard copy, we may simply click the printer button. This will generate printer-friendly view, which can be printed out from a connected wireless printer, for example. And if a team member, if like a CEO or a managing director would like to apply additional calculation formula to the report, or maybe play with the numbers a bit more using Microsoft Excel tools, he or she should just click the Excel button here, and the report will be available as an Excel spreadsheet. And we can now apply formula or use all the tools that the Microsoft Excel provides. Well, it also might happen that reports will not be meant for everybody's eyes. Therefore, it should be possible to narrow down the target group of report recipients or the people who will be able to generate it. We should go to the report edition screen and go to execution permission option. And here, as you can see, we may either select global permission, which means selected reports will be available to everybody, okay? Or we may determine which groups within the corporate structure may display the report. So, for example, this report displaying translation caused by language combination might be, for example, available to account managers only, or project managers, or only management team members. You should just move them to the selection box, and this is all. Or if we don't want to assign the report or enable the report for groups within the company, we may enable the report for individual users. So the CEO of the company who evaluates performance, makes strategic decisions, and evaluates KPIs may create and may enable a report only for his or her eyes, okay? By simply selecting his or her name from the list of registered users and by moving the person's name into the selection box. And one more thing, if we are not happy with the graph type which has been assigned to the report, we may change it. This chart settings screen displays which graph has been associated with this report. By going change chart type, we may simply apply different charts or create a custom chart that is most appealing to us. Creating reports, sharing reports, and determining which users or user groups are able to display them is one thing, but in the reality of language industry, we all know very well that we have to travel quite a lot. Translation industry revolves around conferences and fair events and other meetings during which people meet, exchange ideas, and get on grips with changes or evolution of technology in the translation industry, which means in practice that management team members spend quite a lot of time traveling or attending branch events. Of course, being away from the office doesn't have to mean that they don't have control. They need to perform control remotely. In order to do it, they need to receive information. Again, they need to receive relevant data, allowing them to quickly check what's up in the company they manage while they are away. Which brings us to the next element, which is buried in the configuration of the system, which allows us to create subscriptions. There's a functionality called periodic jobs, and by periodic jobs we mean fully automated actions which are executed by the system. And among these periodic jobs, we have report subscription or filter subscription. Filter subscriptions deliver predefined smart views to predefined recipients, while report subscriptions send out reports. Let me just call this report President's Reports, and let's save the initial setting. Once the initial setting has been saved, we may specify which reports will be delivered to the corporate president and when. Let us assume that the president company is continuously interested in the return on investment generated by US clients. Maybe he or she would like to see net profit by language specialization and maybe average profit of each project. By selecting these reports and by adding them to the selection box, we start preparing our report subscription. Now we know which reports should be delivered by not necessarily to whom. Therefore, we go add recipients and the list of system users will be displayed. Let me just try to filter myself and we add selected. Therefore, these three reports will be delivered to this team member, in this case myself or any other team member of the company, and we need to specify how frequently or when exactly I need to receive this information. The delivery of data may be performed either daily. If it's a daily execution, it can be once a day. If it's once a day, let's specify at what time. Maybe every day at 9 o'clock a.m. I wish to receive these three reports. Or if I have more sophisticated needs, I can select a different option, a repeated action. So daily execution, but many times a day. Well, every 15 minutes would be way too much. So let's say every 4 hours, which means twice a day. And in the time span ranging from 9 o'clock a.m. to let's say 5 o'clock p.m. each day. If I set the subscription in this way, I'll be receiving those two reports twice a day, every day, 4 hours apart from each report delivery. Or I may specify on which days a week I need to receive those reports. Also, either repeatedly or once a day. Let's have once a day. Let's select Monday and Friday. And let's set report delivery at 10 o'clock a.m., which means I wish to compare numbers at the beginning of the work week on Monday and at the end of the work week just before weekend on Friday. And I want to do it 10 o'clock a.m. when I am ready to start working on Monday and I'm ready to start dealing with the last day of the week. Or if I don't need it that frequently, I may specify on which days of the month, the first, last, Monday, Friday, whichever. Once my settings are ready, I just save them and can travel with the peace of my heart. The system will remember about my requirements and will be delivering required reports to my email inbox at a required frequency on specified days of the week or every day the way I want. Okay. Therefore, when traveling or attending a conference, I may simply check my incoming mail and view data, allowing me to retain control over all processes of my translation company. I hope that the content of this session was interesting for all the viewers. If you have any specific questions, please do not forget to send them to us. We'll be very happy to assist you, and we'll be very happy to arrange individual sessions to discuss different and specific areas of the system which might be of interest to any of you. If you wish to contact us, please either send messages to a general email address of our team, which is sales@xtrf.eu. sales@xtrf.eu, or you can contact me directly by sending requests to mwo@xtrf.eu. M like Monica, W like Winston, and O like an owl, at xtrf.eu. mwo@xtrf.eu. Thank you very much for your attention, and let me wish you a happy day and a happy week. Thank you very much. Bye.